Canada just told two of the world's biggest automakers, build a factory here, or your country loses a $44 billion submarine contract. Industry Minister Joly made it official. The submarine deal is not just about submarines. It is about rebuilding Canada's entire industrial base. Everyone reported the submarine bids. Nobody explained the auto ultimatum attached to them. Hyundai's executive chairman Chung Yui-sun flying to Ottawa in January. South Korea's government signing 6 cooperation agreements covering autos, EVs, batteries, and hydrogen. Germany's economics minister telling Ottawa that Volkswagen is keen on expanding Canadian operations. VW already building a battery plant in St. Thomas, Ontario. And both countries told their submarine bidders that auto investment would factor into the evaluation. But here is the tension. Neither Hanwha nor TKMS included a car factory commitment in their final submarine bids. The pressure is on, the gap is open. Trump pushed GM, Ford, and Stellantis out of Canada. Those exits devastated Ontario communities. Thousands of workers lost jobs. Food banks replaced paychecks. Canada's auto sector collapsed from American producers and rose through Japanese manufacturers. Now Ottawa is using the biggest defense contract in Canadian history as leverage to bring in an entirely new wave of auto investment. This is not theory. The submarine evaluation criteria weight economic benefits at 15%. Industry Minister Joly publicly demanded auto production as part of the package. The decision comes as early as April. Today, we are showing you how a submarine deal could rebuild the car industry Trump destroyed. If you want to follow every twist in this story, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications right now. But first, let us look at what both countries have actually offered and where the auto gap stands. Let us start with what each country brought to the table on autos. South Korea moved first and moved hard. In January, Hyundai's executive chairman traveled to Ottawa personally. The South Korean government dispatched its presidential chief of staff alongside executives from every major shipbuilder and automaker. They signed 6 cooperation agreements covering automobiles, electric vehicles, batteries, and hydrogen-powered vehicles. The message was clear. South Korea sees the submarine deal as a gateway to deep industrial integration with Canada across multiple sectors. Hyundai proposed building hydrogen fuel cell infrastructure in Canada as part of Hanwha's submarine bid. It is not a car factory, but it is an automotive technology investment that positions Hyundai for future manufacturing. Germany played a different card. Volkswagen already committed to building an EV battery factory in St. Thomas, Ontario, through its PowerCo subsidiary. Germany's economics minister Katharina Reiche told Ottawa during her visit that the German auto industry is keen on expanding its Canadian presence and is in active discussions. She framed the auto interest as independent of the submarine bid, which is a diplomatic way of saying Germany wants credit for VW's battery plant without formally attaching it to TKMS. Here's the problem. CTV News confirmed that neither Hanwha nor TKMS included a car factory commitment in their final submarine proposals. Despite months of diplomatic pressure from Industry Minister Joly, both bidders stopped short of guaranteeing new assembly plants. The tension is real. Ottawa wants auto plants. The bidders want to win on submarine merit. The evaluation happens in weeks. The context makes this urgent. GM shut down CAMI. Stellantis abandoned Brampton. Ford froze Oakville. Ontario lost thousands of auto jobs. The submarine deal is Ottawa's biggest leverage tool to attract replacement investment. Walking away from that leverage is not an option, and here is where the negotiation dynamics get truly aggressive. Here is where it gets fascinating. Step 1. GM, Ford, and Stellantis exit Canadian auto production, creating a manufacturing vacuum in Ontario. Step 2. Canada announces the $44 billion submarine contract. And Step 3. Ottawa attaches industrial benefit requirements, explicitly including auto manufacturing. Step 4. South Korea sends Hyundai's chairman and its presidential chief of staff to Ottawa, while Germany sends its economics minister, both signaling whole-of-government competition. Step 5. Neither bidder formally commits to a car factory, creating a leverage gap Canada can exploit before April's decision. This creates a fascinating dynamic. Canada holds a $44 billion contract that both countries desperately want. South Korea's defense industry has never landed an export order this large. Germany's TKMS needs the contract to sustain its production line beyond existing NATO orders. Neither can afford to walk away. That desperation gives Ottawa leverage to demand concessions that would be impossible in any other negotiation. Meanwhile, the auto dimension transforms the entire deal structure. A submarine contract with an attached auto factory commitment would create an industrial ecosystem. Defense manufacturing, feeding automotive supply chains, steel production serving both sectors, training programs, building skills that transfer across industries. The multiplier effect turns $44 billion into something far larger. Critics argue, linking submarines to car factories is unrealistic. The data says Hyundai already flew its chairman to Ottawa and signed 6 agreements. Volkswagen already has a battery plant under construction. The interest is real. The commitment just needs the right incentive. A $44 billion incentive. Should Canada force the auto factory issue or take the best submarine deal regardless? This is a debate every Canadian should weigh in on. Tell us in the comments. Now let us talk about what this means for Ontario workers who lost everything when Detroit left. For Ontario workers, this submarine deal represents something that has not existed since Detroit started leaving. Hope. The communities devastated by American auto departures need exactly what the submarine bidders are offering. Algoma Steel in Sault Ste. Marie was hammered by American tariffs. Hanwha's $275 million investment could revive the mill and create hundreds of direct jobs plus thousands in the supply chain. Mohawk College's shipbuilding training program would create a pipeline of skilled workers in Hamilton. The torpedo factory alone would establish a defense manufacturing capability that Canada has never had. And if Ottawa successfully pressures either bidder to commit to auto manufacturing, the impact on communities like Brampton, Ingersoll, and Comayurcho in Oakville could be transformational. The scale matters. Hanwha Group has promised up to 25,000 Canadian jobs by 2040 across all sectors. Even if that number is aspirational, half of it would represent one of the largest foreign job creation commitments in Canadian history. Germany has not publicly disclosed total job numbers, but its partnerships with Seaspan, Ellis Dawn, Marmen, and other Canadian firms suggest thousands of positions across submarine construction, maintenance, and support industries. The cost of missing this opportunity is measured in the generational terms. If Canada accepts a submarine deal without industrial benefits, it gets 12 boats and nothing else. If Canada leverages the competition properly, it gets 12 boats plus steel mills, training centers, torpedo factories, potentially auto plants, hydrogen infrastructure, AI partnerships, and a rocket launch facility. The difference between those two outcomes is the difference between buying hardware and building an industrial ecosystem. Canada has never held this much procurement leverage simultaneously. Two countries, competing for the same contract, willing to invest billions in Canadian industry to win. That leverage disappears the moment a decision is made. So where does this end? The answer depends on how hard Ottawa pushes in the next few weeks. The endgame is clear. Canada is using submarines to rebuild its entire industrial base. This is not just a defense contract, it is an industrial strategy that uses $44 billion in military spending as a magnet for manufacturing investment across steel, automotive, hydrogen, AI, space technology, and training infrastructure. No other procurement in Canadian history has attempted to achieve this scale of industrial transformation through a single decision. And no other moment offers this level of leverage because both South Korea and Germany need this contract badly enough to keep offering more. The structural advantage for Canada is that the competition is not over. Even after April's decision, the maintenance and industrial benefit commitments will take decades to deliver. That timeline means the winning country must continue investing in Canada for 30 years to fulfill its obligations. The jobs are not one-time construction positions. They are permanent careers in manufacturing, maintenance, and defense technology. Canada went from watching its auto industry collapse to holding a $44 billion bargaining chip that could replace every job Detroit destroyed. Whether Ottawa pushes hard enough to extract auto commitments or settles for the broader industrial packages already offered, the outcome transforms Canadian manufacturing regardless. The steel investment alone changes Northern Ontario. The training programs change Hamilton. The maintenance facilities change both coasts. And that industrial transformation is permanent. The steel mills being funded do not close when the submarines are delivered. The training centers do not shut down. The torpedo factory does not relocate. The maintenance facilities operate for 30 years minimum. What Canada negotiates in the next few weeks builds infrastructure that lasts for a generation. Trump pushed Detroit out of Canada. Two countries just lined up to fill the void with something bigger. Subscribe to PolitiX so you see how this ends. And our last video broke down the full $44 billion submarine bidding war between South Korea and Germany. Link is on screen. Watch it now.